today I shall elaborate different seasons on the earth. You know, what are seasons? Seasons are the divisions of the year according to regular changes in the character of weather in the course of annual cycle. You know, there are two main factors which gives rise different season on the earth. These factors are, the first one is the axis, the inclination of the earth's axis. You know, the axis on which the earth spins is inclined at an angle of 23.5 degree from a line perpendicular to the plane of orbit. You know, this is plane of orbit. Now, the earth axis is inclined by 23.5 degree from the perpendicular line, and this is one of the reason for different seasons on the earth. Now, second one is the revolution of the earth around the sun with the axis inclined and with the north pole always directed to pole star. Here you can see this is pole star and the north pole of the earth always remain directed towards the pole star. So, in this position it revolves around the sun. So, these are the two main factors which gives rise different seasons on the earth. The seasons in the northern hemisphere. On June 21st, which is also known as summer or June solstice, the sun rays fall on the Tropic of Cancer at right angles to the earth's surface. So, this is the position A on 21st June, when sun rays falls directly on the Tropic of Cancer, which is present here at 23.5 degree north. At this time, the North Pole and the whole area north of the Arctic Circle have continuous daylight, and at the pole itself there is 6 month days. During this period, the southern hemisphere is turned away from the sun, and the sun's rays strike that part of the hemisphere at comparatively small angles, and the South Pole and the area south of the Antarctic Circle have continuous darkness. Now, the second condition, on 22nd December, which is also known as winter solstice. This is 22nd December, which is also known as winter solstice. The North Pole being always directed towards the pole star, it is the southern hemisphere which receives the direct sun rays. The northern hemisphere receives oblique rays and has its winter. So, you can see at this time, this equator, this is Tropic of Capricorn, this is equator, and this is Tropic of Cancer. And you can very well see the sunlight is directly falling on Tropic of Capricorn on 22nd of December, which is known as winter solstice. Now, you know, in between these positions, the sun shines vertically over the equator. On March 21st, this is 21st March, and this is and September 22nd, 2nd September. At this time, the Earth's axis points neither towards nor away from the Sun, and everywhere on the Earth there is 12 hours day and 12 hours night. The maximum heat from the Sun's rays is received at the equator, diminishing gradually as one goes towards the pole. So, you can see on 21st March and 22nd September, the sun rays are vertically falling on the equator. This is equator, you can see. So, one thing more. So, you can see here there are 4 positions, the position A, position B, position C and position D. In northern hemisphere, when the earth is in position A, means when sun shines vertically on Tropic of Cancer, there is summer season. Now again July, August, and then on 22nd September, when it reaches to position B, the sun shines vertically on equator. So, this is the autumn season in the northern hemisphere. Again, when earth moves further, October, November and then December. In December, again sun shines vertically on Tropic of Capricorn, which is in the southern hemisphere, which is far from the Tropic of Cancer. So, in the northern hemisphere, there is winter season, and after this, when the earth moves again or revolve around the sun, January, February and on 21st March, when sun's rays are vertical over the equator, it is the vernal equinox, which is the spring season in the northern hemisphere. So, these are the 4 seasons in the northern hemisphere. Now, seasons in the southern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, the seasons are exactly opposite to those in the northern hemisphere. For example, you can see when there is summer in the northern hemisphere, there will be winter in the southern hemisphere. When there is autumn in northern hemisphere, there will be spring in southern hemisphere, and similarly when there is winter in northern hemisphere, there will be summer in southern hemisphere. Now, seasons in different zones. At the equator, the tilt of the earth does not make much difference in the amount of sun's heat received. The length of the day is practically the same throughout the year, and the weather is synonymous with the climate. Means the equator always remains hot. Now, in tropics, it is hot during summer when the sun's rays fall vertically in that hemisphere, and cool when the sun has moved to the another hemisphere. So, here you will find summer as well as winter season. Now, the differences of seasons are more marked in the temperate zone, where there are 4 seasons. You can see there are 4 seasons, each lasting for 3 months. In the northern hemisphere, from December to February form the winter season, from June to August summer season, from September to November autumn season. So, next, the varying length of day and night. In the northern hemisphere during summer solstice, that is 21st June, as we move northwards from the equator, the hours of the daylight steadily go on increasing until at the Arctic Circle, that is, which is present at 66.5 degree, where there is continuous daylight for 24 hours. In winter, the hours of darkness keep on increasing until the sun does not rise at all on 22nd December at the Arctic Circle. The day duration at different latitudes are different. You can see at 0 degree latitude, day duration is 12 hour. Similarly, at 17 it is 13 hour, at 41 it is 15 hour, at 66.5 degree it is 24 hour. But after this, as we move, the duration of daylight increases. For example, at 67 degree and 21 minute it is 1 month, at 69 degree and 51 minute it is 2 month, 78 degree and 51 minute it is 4 month, and at poles, that is 90 degree, it is of 6 month duration. Now, solstice and equinoxes. At one time, only half of the earth's surface receives light from the sun, and the imaginary line that separates the lightened from the darkened half of the earth is known as the circle of illumination. So, what are solstice and equinox? So, let us take each one of them one by one. First, solstice. In the northern hemisphere, the sun shines vertically over the Tropic of Cancer on June 21st. This is the summer solstice in northern hemisphere. The word solstice means sun standing still or reaching the highest point. It is the farthest limit over which the sun shines vertically north or south of the equator. At this time of the year, the circle of illumination cuts unequally all parallels except the equator. All latitudes in the northern hemisphere away from the equator have longer parts of their circumference lightened by the sun, so that the days are longer than nights. All parts of north of the Arctic Circle experiences constant daylight. The word tropic means turning point. The solstices are the turning point in the apparent movement of the sun. After the solstice, the sun moves once again back to the equator. Here, one thing I would like to say, that the sun does not really move, of course, but it appears to do so because of the angle at which the earth is tilted. Now, second is equinox. Now, before going on to the equinox, you can see here it is summer solstice when sun rays are directly falling on the Tropic of Cancer. This is 21st June, and in northern hemisphere it is summer solstice. Now, here in this figure you can see the sun rays are directly falling on Tropic of Capricorn. It happens on 22nd December, which is also known as winter solstice, and you can see that northern hemisphere is far from the sun. So, there is winter season in the northern hemisphere, whereas summer will be in southern hemisphere. Similarly, in first case you can see the northern hemisphere is nearer to the sun. So, here will be summer season, whereas in southern hemisphere there will be winter. Now, equinox. Equinoxes are the 2 days in the year, that is 21st March and 23rd September, when the days are nearly equal to the nights all over the world. On these days, the sun appears vertically overhead at noon at the equator. You can see the sun shines vertically on the equator. So, it cuts all the parallels equally into two halves, first half and second half. So, there is equal day and night. In the northern hemisphere, March 21 marks the beginning of spring, hence it is known as spring or vernal equinox, and September 23rd is known as autumnal equinox. At this time of the year, the circle of illumination passes through both the poles and consequently cuts all the earth's parallel exactly half. One half of each parallel is therefore in light and the other half in darkness. This makes the days and nights equal all over the world. Everywhere the sun rises exactly in the east and sets in the west approximately at 6 o'clock. That is 6 o'clock. So, that is all about seasons on the earth. In next lecture, I will discuss about climates in India. Thank you very much.